The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on December 26, 2023.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by Mokulele Airlines. Now here's your host, Pam Tumpap. Good morning, Pam. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very good.
Glad to hear it. I know this is such an important time of year to celebrate together. Well, thank you so much for all you do for our show, Business Matters, and KAOY. For those who don't know, Gary is an amazing radio technician and producer, has done so many things. Of course, you also hear him on many commercials and is actively involved in all elements of radio at KOI. But we so appreciate you, Gary. Thank you for all you do for our show.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Well, today we're going to talk to two of our Maui businesses that are local manufacturers. And we're going to speak with William Davis first. He is the small business owner of Vitalitea Hawaii. And then we're going to talk with Agnes Lee of Elle's Island Style Marinades. So it's always so great to hear from our small businesses on what they're doing in Maui and how they're growing their businesses. So William is already on the phone. And I just want to say one of the things before I read his bio is that he talked about pure love, passion, and aloha poured into every can of Vitality. And I just thought, how awesome is that? William Davis is the founder of Vitalitea Hawaii. It is a Kihei-based beverage company producing craft kombucha, and he'll talk about that if you're not familiar with kombucha, but more and more are now, and nitro cold brew coffee, which when I first tasted this, I'm a hot coffee drinker. But this cold brew, we're going to have him talk about that, is amazing. I fell in love right away. He does all this right here on Maui. He is looking to bring balance to his passion for homebrewed beer, and Will experimented with tea fermentation and sold his first commercial keg of kombucha in 2015. With their mission to create beverages that align with a healthy and active lifestyle, Vitalitea scaled production to match distribution demand to over 400 accounts in the state of Hawaii. So he has grown rapidly, and it's because he has a really amazing product. Upholding their strong commitments to both the community and environmental conservation, Vitalitea transformed a shuttered algae farm into a solar-powered production brewery and packages their beverages in infinitely recyclable cans produced by Ball Metal Beverage Corporation in Kapolei, Hawaii in 2021. He was awarded Entrepreneur of the Year by the Hawaiian Venture Capital Association, and we're going to talk about that because this is a very prestigious award, and upholds his commitment to support local farmers and suppliers across the island. Will is also, in addition to all of that, a Hawaiian Airlines A321 captain and the proud father of two children that are ages 3 years old and 6 months. So you can see this is a very busy and dynamic man. Good morning, William. So great to have you on the show today.
Good morning, Pam. It's great to be on.
Well, we are excited to learn more about all that Vitalitea Hawaii is doing, and we talked a little bit in your bio about the inspiration for the creation, but tell us a little bit more. You were looking at how to bring more to your passion for homebrew beer, and then you came up with this concept. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was really a challenge. Something else fermented, and it was kind of on the opposite spectrum because it was non-alcoholic and it was a healthy drink for you. I learned through one of the members of make kombucha and put it on tap at home, and kind of really balanced out our our beverage offerings at home, and I kind of fell in love with it. It's just such a healthy and refreshing, low sugar alternative to anything else non-alcoholic out there.
It really is an interesting drink for people who haven't had it before, because it's bubbly. It's hard to explain. I always call it clean, and people go, "What do you mean by clean?" And it just is it makes your body feel good. It's refreshing and delicious, and just doesn't have kind of a lighter. Doesn't have a heavy feeling either, like a beer or other drinks do. For me, anyway.
Yeah, clean is a great way to describe it, and that's everything we target trying to make it is just a clean and balanced beverage. And you're right, it's just a low sugar drink. It's full of it. I mean, in its simplicity, it's just a fermented tea, and we use green and black tea. We use a gunpowder green tea, which gives it a really neutral, sharp flavor. And like I said, it's in its simplest form. It's a fermented tea, and it's just loaded with digestive enzymes, probiotic effect, and just has so much good stuff for you. A lot of B vitamins in it, and the organic acids. We've got gluconic and glucuronic acid, which are liver detoxifiers. There's just so much to it. It's dynamic, but yet it's just such a simple, effervescent, and clean, refreshing drink.
Well, obviously, it is on fire. 400 accounts in the state of Hawaii since you started. I believe it was 2015. Is that right?
Yeah, it started in a small incubator kitchen, just me working, nights and weekends on it, in between flying and kind of taking my time off to develop it and grow it. And it started out with some small accounts. We've had some good successes and partnerships throughout the years to accelerate that. Recently, we've just got a phenomenal sales manager, and she's just been out there for the last couple of years, really telling our story and creating fans, and it's just really accelerated our business and our footprint, throughout the state.
Yeah, that is spectacular. I mean, to see that kind of growth is really amazing in a short period of time, and it shows. It's also, and I know we're going to talk about this. It's also hard to do that kind of scale and manufacturing in Hawaii, given that a lot of our imports are brought in. But I know you've created amazing partnerships. Tell us a little bit about those partnerships that you've created across the state that help you keep it more local, but also, your cans that, as we look at, recycling and different efforts, the cans that you've created and how you're doing that.
Yeah, the cans, really, it's a tough market to break into initially because the equipment to fill the cans and steam the cans is, just to start it out, it's really expensive. And so that's a big jump to go into it. I bought some smaller equipment initially because I didn't know if people were going to, how well it would be received in cans. But it's just been an amazing partnership for us with Ball Corporation in Kapolei on Oahu, because all of our packaging is made right here. I mean, they bring in these 10,000-foot rolls of aluminum and stamp out cans by the hundreds of thousands, and our cans come to us pre-printed, except for our limited release. Early on, our estimation was over a very short period of time, switching from labeled cans to the pre-printed cans, we had saved something like a football field length worth of packaging materials in just a month's time or something, and so it's just been really an amazing journey. We use a BPA-NI, which is BPA non-intent liner. It costs a little bit more, but again, it just follows into our integrity of what we do. Just offering these things, offering all of our products in these, we call them infinitely recyclable cans, because there's just no end to it. They go back. You can see the timeline on a can from recycling bin to back on the shelf is on average 60 days, because these things are so easy to be recycled, and they're most recyclable, energy saving versus mining new material out there. So that's the Ball Corporation partnership has been huge for us to be able to offer our products.
Yeah, that's fascinating, and I'm also thrilled that you were able to find that solution here in Hawaii. I mean,
Yeah,
that too is very unique.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
touched on it. It's challenging, and that's, I think, part of what really fuels me a lot is there's a lot of challenges in manufacturing locally and trying to keep it local and keep your suppliers local. And, you know, it's you're grinding every day through one challenge or the next, but it does give you energy in that it's a good feeling if you can sort out those challenges, and then you start to grow a little bit more, and then you have kind of strength in numbers where you have a little bit of a little bit of volume that allows you to start to have just at least be able to have a seat at the table when you're trying to keep negotiate your supplier prices and things like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Well, one of the other things I've been really interested to hear is more about your mission and how you're implementing your mission and your value system within the business.
I think the easiest thing for me, and our mission's really simple. We changed kind of, I probably change the actual mission statement every time I say it, but it's real simple. We're just trying to create healthy and delicious balanced beverages with integrity. And that's what we do in all of our offerings. I have, creating this business wasn't something that I created to make a bunch of money or to try to, replace my income, or it's something I wanted to be proud of. I wanted my family to be proud of it. And when we look at it on the shelves, when we do events, especially like Made in Maui County, we can see it and we see how proud, we just stand there behind our products and we're proud of them. And our most important value is the integrity we put into, making sure that whatever goes out on the shelf is just the highest reflection of what we believe in. And I love a motto that hasn't changed that we've stuck with is no question marks leave the building, which just reinforces our commitment to quality. It just means that we don't question anything. If something isn't right, something doesn't meet specs, something doesn't, that there's any question of anything, then it doesn't leave the building. We don't put it out there. So that's what we live by.
That is really important. and I think in my many years of working with local manufacturers and helping people with processes and putting on shows for local manufacturers and working with businesses, that is the first time I've ever heard anybody say that. And I understand when you say that, and I hope all of our listeners understand, when somebody says there's no question marks leave the building, that is such a very high level of integrity. It takes a lot. And it takes a lot for everybody throughout the team to also feel comfortable going, maybe this is a little off. It really takes a lot to know, to spot, to say, to stop and say, nope, we're not going there. And it also means that, it can hurt the company a little bit too sometimes, because sometimes when something's questionable, it might be okay. But if you're not sure, so then you take the loss. That's really remarkable. Honestly, I've never heard that said in 30 years that I've been doing this. To have anybody say that, that's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about, because I really did fall in love with your nitro cold brew coffee. Tell us a little bit about that.
That product came out of making sure I could diversify our product line. There was a lot of things new about kombucha, and it was a lot of uncertainties at the time. And so I wanted something else on the product line, and I fell in love with the nitro version of cold brew coffee, just how it pours. It pours like a Guinness, and I just got so excited about trying to figure this thing out. So I enlisted some help from a company in LA that was already making it. They gave me some tips, and I just started out with it. And the thing with the cold brew coffee is you don't transfer. You're trading heat for time or time for heat at this point. So you do it cold, and it takes much longer, and you're not transferring the oils that bring the bitterness with it. So the best example for cold brew for me is you can take a cold brew coffee and let it sit out on the counter all day long, and let a hot coffee sit out on the counter all day long, and then taste them both and see the difference. The cold brew just doesn't change, and in my opinion, actually gets a little bit better. We have gone through so many different grinds and roasts and experiments and blends over the years, and finally settled on our blend that's done by Maui Coffee Roasting locally. They, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I said that's awesome. I'm so glad that you're using local coffee in Maui.
Oh, my goodness. And they've been our partner for a few years, and since this started, it actually started at the Tropical Plantation. And when Maria was over there, we were using their coffee. And then when she went over to Maui and they bought Maui, we continued with them, and they've been such a great partner. I have no idea how many pounds. We go through so many pounds of coffee, and they custom roast and grind it for us and deliver it to us. We cold brew it. And we finally settled on a blend. It's a blend of Maui Red Katoa, which is a locally grown coffee, and Colombian. And it's just an amazing coffee. We cold brew it Kyoto style, which is the newest style. We've switched to that a couple of years ago. We bought a piece of machinery that allows us to, it just basically sprays computer-controlled spray of UV filtered water over the top of a bed of coffee grounds, and slowly rinses through that coffee grounds through a 100-micron filter, and creates just this crystal clear, smooth cold brew. And being computer controlled, the extraction is perfect. There's no bitterness, and it only takes us about 6 hours to make a batch of cold brew, which used to take us 24 hours doing an immersion style, and it makes a superior product. And I'm drinking one right now. I'm so proud of this. I have it on tap at home. I have cans of it at home, and it's something I'm really excited about. And the challenge of putting it in a can, again, we go back to the business challenges. That was a big challenge to overcome, because to put it in a can, running down our canning line, we actually have to dose it with liquid, food grade liquid nitrogen, and just sourcing that from Oahu, getting it over here on a barge. We could go on half a day. I could talk about the challenges of doing that, but it's something that we've dealt with many of the challenges of it, but we get it here, we get it done, and we just, and it's part of our product, that our product lineup that we're just extremely proud of. And one thing I'd like to add to on that is that we also developed a program, because it's considered a low acid. It's not fermented. The coffee is low acid and not shelf stable. We keep it refrigerated, but we also take every batch, and we have a procedure, a SOP that we put in place, that we take every batch and we pull product from beginning, middle, and end of every tank as we're canning it, and that gets sent to Hawaii Food and Water Lab and gets tested. We don't release it until we have a panel of tests done on it, and just part of our food safety plan. So that's something that I implemented once we started distribution and kind of get a little bit farther out of our custody. So yeah, you touched on a really good nerve there. I absolutely love this product, and I could talk about it all day.
Well, I fell in love with it. I have had others, and I had yours, and I really fell in love with it. And it just hit me as you were talking about it today. It's that it doesn't have that bitterness. It's such a great coffee flavor without the bitterness. And I just fell in love with it. And, I remember having conversations with not only the chamber team, but others saying, you got to try this. This is really amazing. And I'm a big coffee drinker to begin with, but it was just so different for me. So it's exciting to hear about the process and how you get to that. And one day maybe we can bring you back on and we can do a whole show to talk about some of these just individual nuances of, I've thought about having like a manufacturing radio show where we just, not as segments of this show, but just talk about some of the real interesting nuances what it takes to do some of these things. And some of what it takes are going to be what other factories on the mainland deal with, and others are going to be, yeah, but then here's all the other layers that we have to do this in Hawaii and Maui. But amazing, and to understand about the food grade liquid nitrogen, and I can only imagine there's got to be a big shipping story on that too, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. We'd love to have you at the facility in Kihei at some point too, to take a look at how we do it with such a small team, and it really I think we really figured it out. And again, we start with such a great product coming out of Maui Oma to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's not just Maui Oma that you work with. I know that you support local farmers and suppliers on Maui and throughout the island.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about some of those that you're working with.
Yeah, locally we've kind of settled into a really good group of farmers, and one that we use exclusively for our mint and basil. We do that for a few of our kombucha flavors with Ebona Farms, and we'll do we use Hashimoto persimmon when we do our seasonal flavor. We try to keep with. Well, we actually have a supply chain program as well for our food safety audit, so we have to kind of keep with certain suppliers. But there's just so many people doing such great stuff here, and our ginger and turmeric we actually source from Kauai, from an organic farm over there whose family. Actually, I met the guy flying with him. He's another pilot for the same airline. And their family does ginger and turmeric, has an organic farm, certified organic over there. So they supply all of our ginger and turmeric and just ship it over here when it's in season. And we juice it in-house. So, we just had a great relationship with everybody, just keeping it local.
I absolutely love that. Well, what are your top priorities going into the new year?
Well, we're working on... obviously we've had some big challenges here this year on island, and what we're doing right now is, we were able to keep everybody working, able to shift gears. We did some stuff through some fundraising and some other stuff, but we're trying to focus on the state. We're deploying some branded merchandiser refrigerators out our island, and we're spending a little bit of time just expanding our footprint throughout the state. Just now that we've spent a lot of time on education and people are understanding the product, and it's getting out there a little more, and we don't have to teach too many people what it is anymore. We're just getting it out and more available. So this year we'll just focus on, we'll add a little bit of equipment. We probably may try to expand the team by one or two more people, and then we'll just work on getting our footprint expanded throughout the state.
That's phenomenal. Well, I just want to send blessings and best wishes to you and your team this holiday season, and I am so excited. We've been so excited to have you participate in the Made in Maui County Festival and to get to know you and your products, and just so excited about all the things you're doing and what you're going to bring into 2024.
Thank you, Pam. The Made in Maui County Festival has been sort of a litmus test for us. In the first time we did it till this year, and every year we see the changes in our audience, and obviously there's no shortage of people. This year was really almost overwhelming, the amount of people there and the support. But to see the people come up to us, and from year one that we started it to now, just to listen to the people talk about they know our product, they buy it, where they buy it, they're well aware of it, and it just changed so much. And it's kind of our gauge every year to see where we are and what, receive how our branding is going out there in the field. And it's been a phenomenal project. So I want to thank you for everything you put into that, and wish you the happiest of holidays and into the next new year.
Thank you so much, William. It's been a joy to talk to you. and we appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha.
So exciting to learn about Vitalitea. I hope you all got a great deal from that because it's an amazing company. And I really want to encourage you, if you haven't tried kombucha, definitely try it. It's such a dynamic drink. And then the other thing is that nitro cold brew off the charts. We're going to take a quick moment to hear from our sponsor, Mokulele Airlines, and then we'll be right back.
Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal.
All right. Well, Gary reaches out. I want to introduce you to Agnes Lee. She is a small business owner of Elle's Island Marinades. Elle's Island Marinades started out just as a fixture at every birthday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and pretty much any excuse to get together to eat with their ohana. Her husband, Gary, developed the recipe over the years, and it just became a staple for them. And it wasn't until after their first daughter was born that Ellie, that's the name of their daughter, that they got the encouragement to try to bottle their recipe and see where it would go. Well, neither one of them had any sort of background in the culinary field or starting a business. They debuted this their Elle's Island Marinades at the 2016 Made in Maui County Festival with the help and guidance of Maui's Small Business Development Center and Maui's Food Technology and Innovation Center. So, I just want to tell you, these two programs are helping so many food manufacturers get started. And from there, their small family business has slowly grown and evolved over the years. They've been committed constantly through using fresh, locally sourced ingredients from Hawaii. And today their marinades consist of sweet and savory ingredients, which include papayas and mangoes, oranges, pineapples, lemons, green onions, and garlic. It can be paired with meals, seafood, and vegetables. And by the way, while we've missed Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's still time for your New Year celebration. So we're excited to have Agnes Lee on to talk a little bit about Elle's Island Marinades.
Aloha, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Aloha, Agnes. So great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So, thank you. You got started. Loved hearing that you debuted first at the Made in Maui County Festival. We are always glad to have you as part of this festival. And now you've been doing this since now all the way through 2023. How has it been growing this business?
Well, to be quite honest, it's been a complete learning process because, as you mentioned, neither one of us, my husband and I, had any sort of background, and we're not private chefs, we're not, entrepreneurs or anything like that. My husband was previously a mechanic, and I worked in HR, so all of this was just completely brand new to us. And so when I say that the Small Business Development Center, the Maui Food Technology Center, has been pivotal in guiding us and helping us, I really mean it, 110%. And so we were very fortunate to have them, guiding us through the process and from the get-go. And so, we've definitely learned a lot. Freshman year for any business is always going to be difficult, but we've learned so many things throughout the way. We've, met a lot of folks that have been extremely patient with us and helping us navigate through this process. But it's definitely been an experience.
Yeah. Well, food manufacturing is not easy, and you have to. As we were just talking, to William, it requires high standards because it's a food product. It's something people are going to ingest, but I do find that we have a very giving food manufacturing industry, not just in Maui, but throughout the state.
Yes.
Where people are willing to share and teach.
Yes.
it sounds like that you've gone through that. And of course, you know, both of the organizations you mentioned, the Maui Small Business Development Center and the Maui Food Technology and Innovation Center. That, I mean, what's happening there and at the college is phenomenal, to see our local manufacturers learn. So, you know, you started to embark on this, and as you said, it's been a huge learning experience. Tell us a little bit about your products. When listening to the marinade and all of the amazing ingredients that go into this marinade, is it the same recipe you started with? Are there tweaks along the way? And tell us about the different products that you've got.
It's definitely not the same product we started with. When we first really created this recipe, we like to call it the dirty version. And, you know, it's just basically a lot of things mixed together, but it tasted good. And, you know, no one really asked questions because it, you know, comes off the grill, throw it on the plate, and you're good to go. But when we first started out, we were very... a very adventurous in the beginning. I was probably putting it lightly. And we met with a couple of buyers outside the country for an event here during Native Maui, actually. And they sampled it, and they're like, wow, this tastes great. And then they looked at our label, they're like, wow, but I can't sell this. And it's because we had, you know, preservatives, we had all these things in it. And, you know, again, we didn't realize what the dynamic was like out there in the market in the food industry currently. We just knew, okay, we have something that we think tastes good, but you know what the response was going to be like, how it was going to be tested, and how it was going to go up against, you know, other you know, competitors. We had no idea, you know. So we got a lot of great feedback and advice during, you know, the course of that Made in Maui County Festival, and even since then. So we started out with our quote dirty version, and then we started to, you know, take in all the feedback and all the suggestions that were given to us, you know, with a grain of salt. You know, we didn't want to compromise the integrity of our recipe, but at the same time, we understood there are certain things that, you know, that may be not very helpful for us expanding. So, you know, we went back to the drawing board and we did a lot of, you know, substitution in the sense where we started to realize, hey, instead of using like a canned, you know, fruit juice product, hey, there's some pineapples right here, a local farm. Let's see if we can take this back to the kitchen, juice it, cut it, strain it, and then use that as opposed to a canned version. And then the same thing that went with our papayas. Like, hey, you know, like our papayas, they're sweeter out here, you know. So let's try pureeing that and then mixing that in. Same thing with the mangoes. So it was a lot of like test trialing after, you know, our initial debut. And I've got to say, surprisingly, we were both kind of shocked a little bit, but the recipe and the version that we have now tastes a lot better than it did when we first started out because it's cleaner. You can pronounce every single ingredient that's listed on our label now. And that's for us, that's kind of a big deal, you know, like, you know, you don't see, you know, preservatives or words that you cannot pronounce anymore, you know. So for us, that was, you know, we kind of pat ourselves on the back a little bit on that one. And then not only that too, but we were like, okay, well, if we can use papayas locally, which is use pineapples, mangoes, what about the green onions? What about the garlic, you know? So, you know, it took a lot of like researching and all that stuff, reaching out to different farmers and things like that, because we felt like, okay, we're on to something here, you know, like let's clean it up. You know, these buyers that we met with, they specialized like in the whole foods and like the healthier markets and stuff. And so the advice they gave us was actually was great, you know, because it gave us an opportunity of what it was like out there, you know. And it's like, well, if you're gonna market and say that, you know, you're using these fruits and stuff like that, but the next thing you know, we look at your label and it says all these preservatives, it kind of like diminishes what you're saying. So it made sense, you know. And so we were very grateful for the suggestions that were given to us because we were brand new, you know. And so all this feedback helped us grow. And so we got us to where we are at now. And so originally we had an original version and then we had a gluten-free version. The only difference was just the shoyu that we used. And folks that started sampling it, they actually were telling us that they preferred the gluten-free version. Why? There wasn't a huge distinction to taste, but we're like, okay. And so someone came up to us one day and they said, so you have two versions, right? And we're like, yeah, we have two versions. One's the original, one's gluten-free. And he said, well, why not just make your gluten-free version your original version, like the version? We're
right.
Like, oh, yeah, huh? And we're like, that? Yeah, okay, we can do that. And then, it made sense, right? We had two labels, two different bottles, all for what?
That's right.
Let's just have the one gluten-free version. And it actually, it tasted good. And then we originally, when we had this recipe, it was always meant us in our household for barbecues. We're a carnivorous household, so we used to pour this in with the short ribs, the barbecue pork sticks, and the chicken, and that was our main thing. That was our go-to. But then over the years, we had customers come back to us and they're like, I had this with my eggplant, and I mixed it with my tofu, or I actually sprinkled a little bit on my salad. It tastes really good. And we're like, oh, wow. I did not realize that it could be used for that, because it's not something that we ever used it for. But they came back to us and they said, yeah, no, it tastes great with, our fish, our salmon. And we're like, okay, great. I'm going to take that to the label. We'll use that. So we've learned that it's actually it's more versatile than we originally thought, which is great, and we're glad that our customers are able to use it in different ways. We were at a recent event not too long ago, and we had some folks, buying plate lunches. And I guess for whatever reason, their meat that they were eating with lacked some flavor. So they're like, let me grab a bottle. Let me pour a little bit of sauce on the side of it. We're like, okay, sure. So it makes us really happy to hear those things, because, like I said, we didn't think much of our recipe, but we didn't know where it was going to go. We came into this industry very timid, very shy, with lack of knowledge. And so the people that are around us, that have helped us, guide us, were actually the ones that have been encouraging us to keep moving. That were the ones that are telling us, hey, you got something here. You just got to stay with it. Just stick with what you're doing, and you'll be fine. So it's definitely been somewhat tumultuous, because small business owners always have their challenges, especially starting out. But it's been definitely a great learning process for us. And, we've just been so very grateful for all the help and support that we received since we've begun.
Well, I'm so glad to hear it. And we have such an amazing team on Maui to help, particularly in all manufacturing and all businesses, but particularly in food manufacturing with the colleges program, the university's program. It's UHMC now, but particularly with UHMC's program, and and the two things you mentioned is part of why we actually designed the Made in Maui County Festival with the Buyers Day on Friday. So you have less traffic, you have time to meet the buyers, you have time for them to get to meet, know you, and share their feedback and help you understand what and it helps many companies. I mean, companies all across the board, not just in food, but, they learn what kind of competition they'd be up against in those buyer stores. And what are the buyers specifically looking for? And sometimes you have buyers who have different package. It could be the same product that they want to buy, but they'll want it packaged different ways. And then, as you say, you get the customer's feedback. And I love your story about the suggestion of, well, you did the gluten-free, and then you got such great response on the gluten-free, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, do you need two, or are you okay with one?
Exactly.
And that's a huge thing for a small business. The sooner you get that kind of feedback, then it really sharpens your focus and saves you a ton of money.
Definitely.
Yeah, that is so exciting. Well, I noticed that, one of the things that you share too it's really important for you to source your ingredients from Hawaii. Tell us a little bit about that, because that takes a lot of effort as well.
Yes, definitely. When we initially started out, we weren't very privy to, the local farms, what they were able to produce. And, and we were sort of scared to ask the questions, like, hey, is it possible for us? I mean, we were even nervous to even ask for, like, wholesale pricing, like that's how, like, business naive we were at that time. You didn't know. And when we were testing, we just bought everything retail. And then we discovered, okay, there's this thing called wholesale now. And so, going from that, and then as we started to explore and research more about wholesaling and buying, ingredients and things like that, we're like, wait, this farm, hey, I noticed that they're selling local garlic and local green onions too. And so we're looking at our ingredient list, and we start noticing, like, hey, there a lot of things that we use, we're able to get here, they're starting to grow here at this farm or at this farm. And so, I'm sure a lot of people would agree when I say this, but some of the ingredients, some of the fruits that we have here they just taste better here. Everything from the bananas to the papayas. The papayas are sweeter here. The continental U.S. ones, the ones from different countries, they taste more bitter. And so, so I don't usually eat, like, papayas anywhere else but here. The strawberry papayas, the sunset papayas. Even our mangoes are sweeter. So, just that alone just motivated us to try to use more local ingredients as much as possible. And then, of course, over time, you start to build relationships and friendships with folks that are, small business owners as well. And then it's like, oh, you grow mangoes, you grow papayas. It's like, let's help each other out. I get a case from, papayas from you, and then you help sell some bajos at your storefront. So it's like a give and take. And, you've got to really sort of appreciate all that, because at the same time, while we all start from somewhere, it's like we constantly remind ourselves that, this could be, your neighbor's family's farm. This could be, your student's, your daughter's, teacher that also does this on the side. So in essence, we're all one community, all trying to help each other out, all trying to stay afloat. So the question just becomes, why not? I mean, I know cost is always going to be a factor, but if it's not a huge price gap, why not?
Yeah.
And like I said, aside from the fact that it just tastes better, you're not having to deal with products that are, like, having to be frozen and preserved and then shipped over, and just sit there over time. I know that's always going to be a last resort. If our farmers really don't have it, then fine. But for the most part, we've been fortunate enough to be able to work with some farms that understand our need. Granted, we've got to give them as much notice as possible, but they're like, hey, if we know you need it, we'll find some way to keep it in stock for you folks. We'll either cut them up, freeze them, period, but you have them ready. So that way, they're here for you, and then you don't have to order from the mainland and continental U.S. So that took a lot of searching. It wasn't easy to find in the beginning, but we were very determined to try to make that work somehow. And
I'm glad you did.
I'm sorry.
Because I said, my apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I said, I'm glad you did, because one of the impetus and for that Food Technology and Innovation Center at UHNC was the Farm Bureau and their advocacy, because they understood the symbiotic relationship between farming and manufacturing, and that by manufacturing, we can extend the shelf life of many farm products. Yeah. And the challenge used to be in the early days, and it's starting to go away now with the relationships that you've built, is, often the farmers wanted to grow what they specialized in, right? They sometimes, sometimes different farmers specialize in different crops, and the manufacturers wanted to they have a certain product. Like they weren't necessarily building products around what was being locally grown. They were building products around, like your product, a family recipe or something that was near and dear to their heart that would make them make this kind of investment because they knew the recipe was tried and true. So it's been a work in progress over years to build sort of these relationships. But for those listening, our Maui County Farm Bureau can help you connect with farmers and shorten that process time to help you connect. And it's about having the dialogue. And then like you've done, you find that they have some of your other ingredients or they're willing to work with you as long as they get advanced lead time, which is awesome.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. And it got us really excited. And when we started driving down the highway and stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, do you see the sign that says lemon tree? Like, oh, there's going to be lemons growing here. And you start down further and you see a sign that says oranges. Like, yes, we're getting oranges now. So for us as a manufacturer, it was really exciting because then we could say, oranges sourced locally from Maui. Like, how awesome is that? And, you have people that visit, Hawaii for a reason, not just for aloha, but also our food. I don't know about you, but I just feel like a lot of things taste better out here. So if I'm able to brag and boast and say, hey, a lot of those things that you're enjoying during your meal, it's in our bottle too, I'm proud to be able to say that. It's a big deal. And so we've, as the farming starting to grow and expand, we're just getting more and more excited because that means we become less reliant on ordering outside of Hawaii, And so that's a great thing for us personally as business owners, especially as manufacturers. So we've been really excited over that growth.
I think it's phenomenal. And I've always really encouraged people to put that on their label and to tell the stories on their website and in their social media. And to show those relationships, and we're really seeing that within the manufacturing industry right now. That those relationships and those friendships and now have evolved into co-promotion and really keeping it local and insulating that. And I absolutely agree. Our road is a notch above, hands down, and it comes through in the product. It really comes through, and I think that sharing that on the labels and sharing it in your media reminds people of that when they're at those different stores. And some of our stores that do a great job of carrying local products, but also have the local products put right next to the mainland products.
Yes, exactly.
Right, and we want to go, yes, but let this pop out at you that this is really locally made.
Exactly.
And so it's exciting to hear that. Well, as we've got a couple of minutes, and I want to make sure we allow time for you to tell people where they can find your products. But as we're moving into 2024, what do you see for the new year?
So we've actually been tossing on the idea of a spicy version. It's been in the works for quite some time now, but I personally, I love spicy food. So I keep telling my husband, I'm like, we're gonna make it spicy. It's got to be like really spicy because I can't promote something I don't believe in.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to dabble and do research on like what spice will taste good with what we already have, what will make our scalp sweat a little bit, but not, scare off our consumer. So it's been an ongoing conversation, but definitely the standard for, if we're going to call it spicy, I'm like, it better be spicy. That's what I keep telling my husband. And so he's like, all right, fine. We'll try this type of pepper. We'll try this. And so that's our biggest our task for 2024 is coming up with a spicy version of our marinade because we just have to, It's we got the original, which is doing fine, but we really want to come up with a spicy version, like a real spicy version, not a tingle on your tongue for 2 seconds and goes away type of spice.
Well,
so
there's people who love that. Yeah, I mean, there's people who the hotter they're my son is one of them. Every trip I go on, what he sends me to find is the really amazing hot, hot, I don't want to say Tabasco sauce, but anyway, hot sauces or marinades or things that are super spicy that, he can joke with his friends on and see how people handle the heat is what he loves to do.
Exactly. I'm just a glut when it comes to spicy foods, and like literally I have to sprinkle a little bit of hot sauce even on my eggs in the morning, and my husband's just seeing me and shaking his head, but I love it. It gives my food a little bit of a kick, so I would love to be able to do something like that for our marinade, and we definitely want to be able to come up with a nice spicy version this coming year. So that's a big goal.
That is a huge goal. And hopefully we'll see it at next year's Made in Maui County Festival. No pressure.
Hopefully.
So tell everybody, we were going to have to get off, but in about 30 seconds, but tell everybody where they can find you, your social media handles, and your website information.
Sure. So you can pick up a bottle either at the Maui Ocean Center, Pukalani Superette, Homemade Bakery, or if you're in Oahu, then you can go to the Kahuana Farms in Waianae, Kapolei. And we also have our online store where you can pretty much purchase online, get shipped out to you. The website for that is www.ellsislandmarinades.com. And then you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook under at Elle's Island Marinades.
Agnes, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's been a treasure to have you on. And blessings and best wishes to you and your family this holiday season and into the new year.
Thank you. You too. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Aloha. Well, that is all the time we have. I hope you've learned a lot about these two amazing manufacturers. I will be back, but it will be next week, Tuesday, which is after the new year. So we just wanted to send our warm aloha from the Maui Chamber of Commerce, and of course our gratitude to KAOI for this Business Matters radio show. We hope you enjoy it and enjoy tuning in every Tuesday. We certainly appreciate you and try to bring you news and information that you'll find helpful. And just want to send from our chamber and our personal ohana to you and your ohana. Blessings and just wishes for a wonderful new year. And when we come back on Tuesday, we'll share some of our priorities for 2024. Aloha.